I was thinking, well, I don't know what anyone else is going to say beforehand, so this could be all cockeyed or whatever. So I just started off by looking at this, and if I get the pages in the right order, I might stand a chance of actually them as well. This is what old age does to you, see guys, you young fellas. Fortunately, there's a few older fellas here as well. But as you know, one of the first things I said is that Laurel sends her apologies, so I don't have to repeat that. I think we've heard that now. And yeah, she would have loved to have been here, but we made the commitment that the family comes first. They need help, so she's not here. But anyway, I've really enjoyed my time here working with HG and all the people, and you might say in this day and age, how come you stay with the same organisation for so long? And it comes down to two main things really. It's the people, it's you guys, both my colleagues, current and past, the clients, and the other people that we've worked with. For some reason we have had a fantastic mix of people here in Tauranga, and yeah, that's been really important. The other important part of it is the actual projects we work on. We've had a great variety of projects, and every project is new. They've all got their subtleties and differences and challenges. And for some reason, some of our clients always pick land that's got a little bit of a challenge to it. There's something different about it. It's either dead flat and close to the water table, or it can be pretty steep, and there's, whatever it is a damn challenge. But that damn challenge makes you think and provides a lot of frustration, but it also provides a lot of satisfaction at the end of the day when we've actually completed it. And we've completed a huge number of projects over these 40 years successfully that we can all be proud of, both us HG people and our clients, in terms of what they've produced for their purchasing public at the end of the day. Some of the things that underlie the importance or underlie those projects and the variations and the people that I just want to acknowledge, and I think it's very important, and sometimes we don't pay much regard to it, apart from when Dave used to do your PEPs and say, what are the company values? But regardless of what he says, those values, those 4 key values of determination, client focus, being one team. What's the 4th one? Integrity. Yeah, it is. It's integrity and accountability. Yeah, if you've got those values and you apply those values, you can't go far wrong. And it's the application of those values, along with the people you're working with and the clients, that it actually make things successful and give you a sense of satisfaction and keep your clients happy as well. So we've had plenty of challenges. My career has been pretty well glowingly retold or something there, and so I won't dwell on that too much, apart from to say how it started. Laurel and I came back from 4 years overseas, and during that time I had spent no time surveying at all. Any work I did, apart from in pubs, on bars, which is always good fun. That's where I lost my wedding ring, but that's another story altogether. And was as a site engineer. I worked on for a short period of time in the middle of winter, which was a goddamn awful place to be, but it was on the structure across the Thames that controlled the level of flooding on the Thames. And that was a really high-level job. You're going out in the middle of the mud and rain and slush and sleet and snow, counting steel bars and reinforcing. It's very high-tech. bit of site engineering. You got the other thing was the site engineer got a lot more money than there's a surveyor too. But the majority of my time was spent on gas pipelines over there. I did a lot of work in South Wales on gas pipelines and up in the east of England as well. And that was all very interesting, very challenging. And what I found was I was able to adapt to that pretty easily thanks to the background I'd had in surveying and the things that we learned in survey school and subsequently through the good old railways, which I did my time with. So that we came back from that, and I was full of all sorts of ideas and that, but we came back broke, absolutely broke. We spent everything we earned literally on travel and doing things, etc., etc. So we arrived back in Auckland. Laurel's family from South Auckland, and I've been working with railways in Auckland, which is why we're there. So I went door knocking, and every bloody door I knocked on, oh, there's tough times, we're not employing anyone now, rah, 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 rah. And it repeated. So I thought, oh, there must be a bit of truth in this. But one door I knocked on was an outfit. I'd heard of them, but didn't know much about them. Apart from there was some fellow that's been described previously that used to work there because he was at survey school with me for a little bit, and I used to see him in the railway hotel. But anyway, we're diverting here. We went into this place and I saw a little guy, happened to be Don Rugg, and the older HG people here will know Don. And I had a nice chat with Don. Can't remember much of the details apart from the fact that no, they didn't have anything there in Auckland, but they had a partners meeting coming up. It was very shortly. So he'd asked some of the other partners that were from out of town offices if there was anything going. So anyway, I spent a few weeks cutting tea tree and passing the time of day, which is really exciting. And then I got a call, would you like to come in for a chat? So I went in for a chat, and that's when I met Phil Simpson here, who at the time was manager of the Tauranga office. Not that I knew that. Anyway, as a result of that conversation, Phil asked if I'd come down to Tauranga. I'm not sure whether it was for a look around or whether I actually had a job at that time or whatever. And being broke, penniless, no transport, I obviously said, oh yeah, I've got positive about these things. But I actually thought to myself, where the hell is Tauranga? This is the boy from Invercargill. He's only lived in Auckland in the North Island, so where the hell's Tauranga? Didn't have a clue. Anyway, being a surveyor, surveyors can find their way around anywhere. We never get lost. We just might be diverted a little bit, but we're not lost. So I found my way down here, and long story short, here we are 40 years later, almost. And that was great, turned out good. But a good time during the 80s, and as has been said, yeah, Fiji was a highlight. I wouldn't say it's the highlight, but it certainly was a highlight of our time with HG as we look back. And why I wanted to mention it is one of the interesting things to say, oh, you do these things and you go away and say, oh, this will be good for the kids, another culture and all that sort of carry on, and yeah, this will be good. But you don't really know, you're presuming what the kids are actually saying or might say and think and that. And I'm surprised Brett actually said much, because he was 7 when he came back, 4 years there, so he's only 3 when he went over, so that he actually remembers much is actually quite surprising. The other two, I definitely knew more, and what Dean said, I'm not surprised at all, because he lives in Cairns, same climate, everything like that, he got a bit really related to it, but it was really good, and it was really pleasing to hear what the boys said, because you always suspect that this is good for the kids. Now they've actually said it, so without any prompting for me, so that's really, really great. We had a great time here. There's many exciting jobs and a few stories which we won't go into here. One of the things about up here, and Jim will appreciate this, and probably Dave, is that we used to get a few laughs, and we pointed out to people that were visiting of tourists that are coming in there, and the sword sellers would line them up and do the deal on them, and we'd have a bit of a laugh, and our visitors wouldn't necessarily understand this, because the trick with the sword sellers is they'd never approach us and try it on with us, because they recognised that we were expat locals, and they would treat the kids really well, but bloody tourists, geez, they'd be into them like a robber's dog and get $1 out of them. We'd always have a laugh out of that. One of the things up there that was interesting and probably challenging for a lot of people was dealing with native land up there, Fijian native land. Fortunately, here in Tauranga, we had, I can't say a lot, but we had a reasonable amount of experience with Maori land, and dealing with the Maori land system and that here, I think in hindsight was highly beneficial in being able to go up to Fiji and deal with the locals with the land that was under the Native Land Trust Board there. Some of it was pretty tense and some of it was almost dangerous, but if you develop a taste for kava and prepared to sit around and get a bit of abuse now and again and other things would generally turn out pretty well. So we had a good time up there, there's no doubt about it. So when we came back here, came back to be survey manager here in Tauranga, thanks to Phil. And then Phil retired and I took over as the manager, and looking back on those 14 years, that was good. We had some good times and we had some bad times. A real roller coaster. Came in with a lot of enthusiasm, then we had the .com bubble burst and things were a little bit slow, and then things picked up and we had quite a good time there during the through to 2008, and then we had the GFC that made the .com bubble seem like hardly even a hiccup, and for those younger ones here, it was, we always tried to, or I tried to keep the team together. People are important, and that, and we probably tried too hard, but we ended up losing half our staff over that period. It was a pretty tough time, but we weren't the only ones in that in that position. But yeah, that was perhaps the biggest low while I was in the chair. And then we came out of that. We got through that all right, and Dave took over.
Sorry.
and he was clever enough to jump out when everything is going good and hand over to Brad. So I don't know what you got round the corner, Brad. One of the things that has been really satisfying here, which is is not directly related to what we as a company are doing, but is directly relating to what as individuals we do, and that is actually developing people and passing on knowledge and setting up processes and that where people can grow, and we do that indirectly, but as a result of interest in that side of things, I got involved in the review and development of what is currently the National Diploma of Surveying, and that was very frustrating sort of exercise because you're dealing with the government bureaucracy, but it was also stimulating and made you think about education and what we do for our younger people that are coming through as technicians and young professionals, and to give them recognition, a qualification that recognises their skills and provides a stepping stone for their ongoing development. So that was good to finally get that in place. It took probably a good 2 or 3 years for that to evolve, and associated with that, but almost quite independent in some respects, was working with the Berkeley Polytech in developing or helping them or encouraging them to develop a delivery system for the National Diploma in Surveying, so that we could provide an alternative to the Unitec method of delivery in Auckland, which is very Auckland focused rather than national focused. And the trick with the Polytech was to encourage them and them to accept the idea that we wanted a delivery that was nationwide, or as a professional we wanted delivery that was nationwide. And so they, to their credit, took the idea on, and we now have a nationwide delivery to a unified standard of the National Diploma in Surveying throughout the country using the latest and greatest technology. So that's been very satisfying, and I hope that one way or another our involvement with the education and development of our people continues. Is there anything I can pass on to you? Well, not really. Most things have been said in terms of being determined, being focused on our clients. They're all those things that are in those values that we as a company hold to be of high importance. And I'd say if you adopt those values and just reflect on those values from time to time, everything will work out at the end of the day. But apart from those values, to enjoy your time here and have fun, and so you think, yeah, HG is the place to be, what you've got to do is, one, you've got to enjoy your work. You've got to accept that every day is not going to be a bed of roses. There are going to be those hard days, and I think most of us have had those hard days, and some of them might have been hard weeks and that, but for every hard day there's a multiple number of good days. Talk to people, listen to people, particularly your clients. They may know as much or more than you, so just be careful of that and keep that in the back of your mind all the time. Don't rush to judgment. Decisions made in haste, they often lead to waste. And be open to change. What you think today mightn't be the best way to do things tomorrow. So those are my tips if you want for going forward. I haven't mentioned anyone in particular tonight because there's quite a few people here, and to go around and mention the impact everyone's had would be here for a week or more. But I do want to acknowledge someone. That's Phil. Phil is, well, not everyone will realise this, but Phil is a former managing director of Harrison Greeson. He was manager of the Tauranga office when I joined, and he's managed several other offices. And at a time when Rotorua was the big city in the Bay of Plenty, Phil had the foresight to see that Tauranga would become the economic centre for the Bay of Plenty. And at that time, Tauranga was about half the size of Rotorua. I mean, when I came here, Tauranga was about 35,000 people, and the Mount was about 15, I think. And it's now, what, 125, is it? So that's the difference that we've had in the 40 years, which is quite impressive. So Phil's a person of a lot of foresight and that, but for me, Phil was just the guy that gave me a job. He became my mentor and taught me a lot, and just saying thank you, Phil. But thank you all for the contributions you made one way or another, whether you're relatively new in the organisation or you've been around and been here and gone there and done that. Thank you very much for being part of the environment. It's not only our staff here, but also our clients that are present and other people that we work for and with. Thanks very much.
All the best. Have a beer.
Thank you. Have a beer. Right. Thanks very much.